This is RTV 6 News at 11, working for you.
And thanks for joining us tonight at 11. I'm Trevor Shirley. New tonight, we now know there are 8 confirmed tornadoes from that outbreak that happened yesterday. Take a look at some of this damage. This historic church, as you see right there in Bentonville, that's in Fayette County, among the dozens of buildings destroyed or heavily damaged. The good news in all this, we've got no reports of any deaths or serious injuries, but there is more stormy weather and heavy rain on the horizon. Let's head over to meteorologist Todd Clausen. He's got a look at what we're in for. Hey, Todd.
Yeah, and some areas have already seen very heavy rainfall here this evening. Those confirmed number of tornadoes likely probably go up. National Weather Service is heading out tomorrow once again to investigate some other sites. So likely they'll confirm more here in the next 24 hours. As far as what's happening right now, the thunderstorm watch, all the warnings have expired, but still some heavy rain out here near Muncie. Over towards the Winchester area. We'll come into just south of Carmel now. This heavy batch of rain slowly going to sink here into the Nora area over towards Castleton as well, and then down to the south. Some pockets of rainfall still linger over towards the Mooresville area, down to Whiteland, and even further down to the south. It's a steady rain in Seymour, where we've seen over 6 to 7 inches of rain across parts of Jackson County in the last 24 hours, and that rain continues to fall. So we have 2 things going on, and this big batch of rain is moving through southern Indiana. This broken line of showers I showed you, that is the cold front. What should happen here is this cold front should suppress this steady and heavy rain to our south throughout much of the overnight hours. With that said, we'll probably have to maintain at least the chance of a few heavy downpours into the overnight hours, but no severe weather is expected. That is the good news as temperatures eventually cool back down into the 60s. So tomorrow morning as you walk out the door, it is mild, it is muggy with mostly cloudy skies, maybe a stray shower or 2, but the storms will build once again tomorrow and in the coming days ahead. More on that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thanks. Well, think about this. You're at home and you get word there is a tornado warning. What do you do? Where do you go? Some Ellettsville residents were in that very situation last night. RTV6's Derek Thomas caught up with them today in Monroe County, and they shared their stories of what happened.
So I automatically turned the TV on, and Kevin Gregory, was saying it was heading towards Ellettsville.
Sue Day sat on her front porch recalling what happened next.
We went into the hallway, laid on the floor, and I could hear things crashing around the house, and I prayed. I said, God, please help us.
The house was unharmed, but elsewhere there were problems. This tree fell on the truck and totaled it, and then there was extensive damage to their pole barn. Across the way, there was more discussion of divine intervention at Day's sister-in-law's house.
2 or 3 trees right there fell in one place on my roof, and that was it.
How thankful are you that...
I am very thankful for the Lord, to the Lord. I'm very thankful because he was watching over me and he was watching over everybody in my neighborhood, because I don't think anybody was harmed. And I thank God for that.
It's pretty upsetting seeing as we just moved in a week ago, so it's pretty bad.
Ryan Dixon is lamenting the damage sustained when a tornado decided to visit his new home. When it hit, his wife and 2 daughters took refuge in this storm shelter in their backyard.
I poked my head out and just looked, and I saw this huge tree, and I had no idea that it was even going to be that bad.
Hours after that ordeal, he talked about what it was like going through it.
I stayed calm while it happened, but after I realized what had happened and everything, just started shaking, kind of scared. It's surreal. It's crazy.
Yes, it is crazy. According to the Monroe County Emergency Management Agency, 32 homes were damaged. 4 were destroyed. Sue, Judy, and Ryan are thankful their families were kept safe. In Ellettsville, Derek Thomas, RTV6.
And Beech Grove also got hit hard. Take a look at this drone footage from some of the mess left behind. Mayor Dennis Buckley says there are 3 areas in particular that took the brunt of the storm. Beech Grove High School sustaining damage, along with an apartment complex. Tonight, we know 24 families had to find other places to live for the time being. The mayor says despite all this damage, though, people are already stepping up to help.
It's just going to take a while to clean up. The community outpouring has been tremendous this morning. A lot of people out volunteering to pick up limbs and stuff like that. So we're pretty happy with the response from the public.
And as those storms moved east, Wayne County also fell victim to high winds. The town of Richmond sustaining damage to homes and businesses. We now know 2 people suffered minor injuries from those storms. Viewer photos sent in give you a sense of what those folks had to go through. The cleanup there is already underway, and the National Weather Service is expected to arrive soon to begin surveying the area for damage. And while damage is the main concern in a place like Richmond and Beech Grove, it's flooding that's causing anxiety in Franklin. Several rivers there and creeks have crested their banks already. The fear now is that if we end up getting more rain, those problems are only going to get worse. RTV6's Rafael Sanchez takes a look at what's happening there.
The wind damage is quite evident in places like Beech Grove. Now the other big concern will be for those homes and properties and businesses along waterways because of all the excessive rain. All these ditches and creeks and rivers have really started to jump their banks. Here in Franklin, Province Park is part of the flood control effort. This park floods as commonly it does when there's excessive rain. So what you're seeing now is not uncommon when there's too much rain. The bigger concern will be over the next couple of hours and days. More rain could mean that the rivers and the ditches and the creeks will jump their banks, possibly threatening streets, homes, and businesses. We'll have to see what happens over the next 24 to 48 hours. In Franklin, Rafael Sanchez, RTV6.
And for the second time in less than 2 months, Danville's Mayberry car has been damaged. According to Danville police, somebody drove off the road and hit the iconic car, which sits outside the historic Mayberry Cafe. Thankfully, nobody got hurt in all this. Police don't believe drugs or alcohol played a role in that crash.
People are sad about it and hoping that we can get it fixed.
Police say the 20-year-old driver stayed on the scene and was cooperative. Repairs to other damaged structures are already underway. And back in April, a suspected drunken driver also crashed into that car, but during that incident, they left the scene. Well, it's never been done before, shadowing a president for 30 hours. But that's exactly what ABC's George Stephanopoulos did for 2 days, and tonight put together what he experienced into a 1-hour special report that aired earlier this evening on RTV6. Right now, ABC's Daria Albinger reports.
An unprecedented look at the President of the United States Sunday night. ABC News chief anchor George Stephanopoulos spending 30 hours with Donald Trump. Over the course of 2 days, flying with the President on Air Force One, sitting in on Oval Office meetings, even riding in his armored vehicle called the Beast.
This is some piece of machinery. Oh, this is amazing.
And accompanying the president to a rally in Iowa. Democratic presidential frontrunner Joe Biden in the Hawkeye State the same day.
Donald Trump is trying to take away your protections for pre-existing conditions.
George Stephanopoulos asking the president about reports that he's trailing Biden in the polls.
Well, I don't believe those polls.
Adding,
I'm winning everywhere.
Since that interview, the Trump administration cutting its ties with the pollsters who may have leaked the results of the poll taken in March. And Mr. Trump answering this question.
Your campaign this time around, if foreigners, if Russia, if China, if someone else offers you information on an opponent, should they accept it or should they call the FBI? I think maybe you do both. That kind of interference in our elections? It's not an interference. They have information. I think I'd take it.
The comment drawing outrage among Democrats, and the president now saying he would also definitely report the information to the FBI. But the president remaining steadfast about the results of special counsel Mueller's investigation of Russian interference in the 2016 elections and possible collusion with Trump election officials.
There was no crime. There was no collusion.
But some Democrats supporting impeachment over allegations of obstruction of justice, placing mounting pressure on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to begin impeachment proceedings.
It's not off the table.
You're not worried about what happens in Congress? Look, the Republicans in the Senate, every single one of them that I see know this is a witch hunt. They get it 100%.
The president kickstarting his re-election campaign at a rally in Orlando on Tuesday. Daria Albinger, ABC News, New York.
South Bend Mayor and presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg is talking about expanding his family. He tells CNN he wants to start a family with his husband, Chasten, and that could happen if they're in the White House. Buttigieg is celebrating his one-year wedding anniversary. He hopes to become the first openly gay presidential nominee from a major political party. He says it wouldn't be the first time a child has been born to a first couple in the White House. And the grandchildren of former President George H.W. Bush paid tribute to him on what would have been his birthday week. Bush would have turned 95 on Wednesday as grandkids gathered at the Presidential Library this weekend. They stood at their grandparents' grave back together for the first time since the president's internment last December. The plan was for all of them to skydive like their grandpa had done on past birthdays to honor his family.
I really miss my grandparents, but one that's very relevant today and top of mind is, the sense of being bold, be daring, do things that aren't familiar to you, and jump in sort of wholeheartedly. And I know they both did that in different ways throughout their lives, and here we are.
Now, although they were all set to make that leap, conditions were unsafe for skydiving because of high winds and some cloud coverage, but the grandkids say they know their grandparents are still happy they could all get together. Well, most teenagers get annoyed when their parents use technology to keep tabs on them, but one grateful girl says she'll never feel that way again after her mom's actions helped save her life. And are you looking for the perfect pet to match your lifestyle? Well, how about a pet matchmaker? We'll tell you all about that news service and how it promises to guide you through the process of choosing a four-legged family member.
And the threat of severe weather has come to an end for now across central Indiana, but many areas still dealing with some very heavy rainfall. Flooding becomes a big concern, not only overnight, but in the coming days ahead. We'll talk all about it coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast.
Your budget stretches further at Mattress Firm. This is RTV 6 News at 11, working for you.
It was a close call for a mom and daughter in North Carolina, and mom credits an app with helping to save her 17-year-old daughter's life. Take a look. Macy Smith was driving alone in North Carolina when her car hydroplaned, flipped, and then landed 25 feet down a ravine. Her arm was pinned under the car for 7 hours. Once she missed her curfew, her worried mother texting and calling repeatedly, so mom turned to the Find My Friends app, which allows users to track each other's locations. She used it to guide her to the crash scene. Macy thankfully now is hoping her survival story encourages other teens to use the app with their families.
I know it's hard for teenagers to give up your privacy. Being in places that you don't want your parents to know about is not worth being trapped under a car for 7 hours.
Macy is home from the hospital, regaining movement in her arm and feeling grateful for that technology. Well, the owner of Ragu's is recalling some of its jars of pasta sauces over the possibility they may contain fragments of plastic. No injuries or reports of injuries, just complaints so far. The company says the voluntary recall was launched out of an abundance of caution. It says the sauces produced earlier this month were distributed nationally. Now, the recall involves 3 specific varieties: chunky tomato, garlic and onion, Old World style traditional, and Old World style meat sauces. Well, criminals are figuring out how to pick up on a new popular form of personal loans. They're creating fake banks and then lending out fake money. It's a scam. Watch for these warning signs, is what officials say. The institution isn't registered in your state. That's required by the FTC. The institution should list the states where they're allowed to do business on their website. Legitimate personal loan companies may charge a fee for your application or credit check, but they don't ask for any fees up front. It's usually just added into your loan, so beware of anyone asking for money up front. Also beware of calls about personal loans. The FTC doesn't allow personal loan offers to be made over the phone. The Federal Trade Commission reminds you to beware of the bots. A lot of times the bots buy all tickets for concerts and other events within minutes of them going on sale. And then because they're sold out, resellers can then pick their prices, and people who want to go to an event have no choice but to pay a ridiculous price. The FTC says it's taken thousands of complaints about this problem. Consumer advocates want harsher punishments against resellers using automated bots, and they want to allow artists and teams to restrict resale of tickets. And the American Kennel Club wants you to spend money on a dog, but it's not what you might think. It launched a new service called Puppy Visor. If you're looking to adopt a dog, you can use the service to talk to American Kennel Club experts. You also get access to a team of trainers and a 24/7 vet line for you to have as long as you have the dog. They want to help match you with the right animal by supporting you through that entire process.
They are going to try and identify your lifestyle. So, how active are you? How often are you home? How much time do you have to spend with the dog, training the dog? Do you have another dog already at home? Are you planning to start a family?
The American Kennel Club can match you with dogs through breeders, through their own marketplace, and through rescue groups in your area. Puppy Visor costs $250, but you only pay once. It helps prevent people from supporting dangerous breeders and from getting scammed. The Better Business Bureau estimates around 80% of online sponsored pet ads are fake. And a reminder for next weekend, dozens of animal shelters and rescues from Indiana will be at this year's spring event, which runs June 22nd to the 23rd at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. Hours each day, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. The event is free. However, on Saturday, you can cut the line and get in an hour before the public at noon if you buy an early bird admission ticket for $25. For more information, go to the Indy Mega Adoption event. You can head over to their website. And Indy Parks is now serving free meals as part of its summer servings program. Take a look. The goal is to serve 200,000 free meals this summer. Those meals will be available to anybody 18 or younger in Marion County, either through mobile meal units or meals dropped off at certain locations. The program is Monday through Friday of the summer. Hours of operation vary by location. Just check the Indy Parks website for more information.
All right, we've been dealing with some pockets of heavy rainfall throughout the evening hours. We had a few thunderstorm warnings to the south. Those have expired, and I think the severe threat has come to an end for the night tonight. However, some of you still dealing with these locally heavy downpours from Rockville to Greencastle, and some more as we work our way into southern portions of Hendricks County there just south of Danville. To the north, some heavy rainfall right now in Fishers as well as Carmel. And then we also have some heavy downpours as you work your way from Muncie over towards the Winchester area. So we'll continue to deal with these isolated downpours off and on throughout the overnight hours. The lightning has really come to an end as well. So it's more rain than anything out there right now. But still look at some of this rain as you work your way south from Columbus to Seymour. It's been pretty steady there in southern locations, and we still do maintain some flash flood warnings, especially I think as you work your way south of Bloomington into southern portions of Brown County and then towards Seymour. With it being dark now, it's pretty hard to see if there's water over the roadways. So just know if you're going out tonight or early tomorrow morning before sunrise that there will be the potential for some standing water out there and a continuing flooding that's going to linger into Monday morning. Because look at some of these rainfall totals over the last 24 hours. Just north of Bedford, almost 6 inches of rain. Around 7 inches of rain has fallen in the Seymour area, a little less as you work your way to the north. But that's a tremendous amount of rainfall in a short period of time. And that's why those flash flood warnings are in effect until 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. So what we have going on is a cold front that's slowly sinking down to the south. That'll continue to slowly push southward, but it's really muggy out there still. And there's a lot of energy out there in the atmosphere just to kind of flare up a downpour or two. But again, the severe thunderstorm watch has expired. But the problem going forward in this forecast is that same front that I mentioned is coming through right now is just going to kind of linger in the area. And that's just going to allow these waves of heavy rainfall to make their way through central Indiana at times throughout this entire week. We're going to have a lot of dry hours in between, but flooding will become a concern as we work our way into the coming days. So make sure you stay with RTV6 and you remain weather aware. Muggy this evening, temperatures in the 70s and this upper 60s now as you wake up tomorrow morning, mid 60s, and then throughout the day tomorrow, we get close to 80 degrees, a lot of humidity around, and there will be the chance of some spotty showers again throughout the overnight hours. But most of tomorrow morning's commute should be dry. Then as we work our way into the afternoon hours and the peak heating of the day, some isolated downpours again make their way through the area, and that will be a common theme. If I had to pick one day out of the next 7 there that's potentially the wettest, that would be on Wednesday, Trevor, with a high temperature of 82.
We got to dry out at some point.
I know.
Hopefully sooner than later.
Exactly. It's been a real rough go of it lately.
All right, Todd, thanks. Well, coming up still ahead on the news at 11 on this Father's Day weekend, we're taking a look at a program that helps dads succeed in the workforce and at home. Stay with us. Welcome back. RTV6's Hiring Hoosiers initiative was created to help you make your life better. It's a mission similar to one local organization, and it's especially relevant today as we celebrate fathers everywhere. That organization has been helping dads succeed in the workforce and at home for more than 25 years. Tonight, RTV6's Meredith visits the Fathers and Families Center.
I'm tired of the foolishness and living this type of life. I'm looking for a change, and then I already had a son at that particular time as well.
It was a challenging time for Randolph Weather Jr.
I was going through difficulty with jobs and employment in my life. Friendships, different relationships.
Then someone told him about the Fathers and Families Center.
We are a beacon of hope to a lot of young men who do not want a handout, but lift up.
The Fathers and Families Center helps dads not only become providers, but nurturers.
The community realized that fathers were not dead beat, but dead broke, and needed some assistance, particularly those who entered the role of fatherhood at an early age as a teenager. We have a number of men who are fathers, but who have gotten involved in the criminal justice systems, dealing with mental health, dealing with drug and substance abuse. Well, those societal ills impact families, and so therefore our premise is that if you make strong fathers, you will have strong families. If you have strong families, you will have strong communities.
McLaughlin says they realize many unemployed men want to work.
People are unemployed because there are a lot of systemic and personal social barriers that may get in the way for them finding meaningful employment. But when they come here, we don't judge them. We examine where they are, but we also take an asset model that you're bringing something to the table. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come here.
Men who seek out the organization are in class for 3 weeks, taken on job tours, and learn soft skills needed to succeed.
We have a strong employment workforce development program to help men find meaningful and gainful employment, and also not only find it, help them to retain.
And once that happens, life at home improves too.
We have fathers from 16 to 72 who need help. And I think what is so meaningful to us is that we're making a difference, that a child now has better life options, that there's a hope for the future that they can look forward to. We always tell the men, your children ought to do better than you. And we're allowing them to be able to set a solid foundation so that their children can do. We're really trying to turn the hearts of the fathers towards their children.
That's exactly what Randolph did. Now a full-time guest services supervisor at the Hyatt downtown.
You've got to start somewhere, and I've always been told you all you got to do is get your foot in the door and just show who you are, and be yourself and be true to who you are. And when you do good things happen.
In Indianapolis, I'm Meredith RTV6.
Now, the center also offers a high school equivalency program and counseling services. We put a link to their website on hiringhoosiers.com. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
At Zaxby's.
Well, Britain's Prince Harry is celebrating his first ever Father's Day. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex shared this heartwarming photo of Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor on Instagram. You can see the little Archie already has his dad wrapped around his little finger. The royal family welcomed their first child on May 6th.
All right, the threat of severe weather has come to an end across the area. A few downpours, though, remain. That'll continue overnight. And then throughout the day tomorrow, definitely not a washout, but especially tomorrow afternoon, some isolated thunderstorms will flare up. The best chance of rain this week will be on Wednesday with numerous storms moving through.
All right, wet week ahead, Todd. Yep. Thanks. And thank you for watching. That's going to do it for us. We'll see you right back here tomorrow morning. Good night.